I can hear him.
We live?
Yeah, you're muted again.
We are live. Hey, welcome to Unpack Radio. I'm your host, Norris Poe Johnson, and we are talking about the male ego and mental health. And we always know my very first question is, how's your mental health doing, Kevin? Because you had a crazy experience. So how's your mental health doing?
I did almost die recently. So I'm actually doing really well. I've been working on resilience for a long time. Ryan just dropped audio.
Can you expand on that situation with the...
Yeah, sure. I'll give you a quick rundown. Just up the street, there was a domestic dispute that was going on. All we heard at around midnight a couple of weeks back was some yelling and screaming. And I heard a woman's voice real loud. And then I heard a guy starting to shout, "Get the F out, get the F out. I pay the bills. Go if you want to." So my wife and I ran out the door just to make sure everything, because there was way too many voices for this to be just a normal argument. Ran out the door just to try and call the cops or whatever we needed to. And I on the way out, I told my wife, "Grab your phone." She grabbed a baseball bat, and I looked at her and I'm like, "No, the phone." And she looked at the bat like she was going to call the cops with it, and then finally went and got her phone. And we went down the street, and there was about 8 people just like absolutely brawling with each other.
Okay.
You want to test, Ryan? I think we can hear you if you talk.
Ryan, can you hear us now? I see him walking down the hall. He must get horrible reception.
Must.
Ryan,
I can keep going if you want.
He's muted and blank. God damn, that's why we can't have nice things.
Well, he's on the other side of the planet right now. You know, he's one of those
figure it out. All right. Well, Kevin will go first, DJ Smoke will go second, and I will go last because I wrote these, so I kind of already had enough time to think about them. My first question, I experienced today myself at the gym. As men, are we at the level when someone can check us for us being a pretty much fuckboy or doing something wrong and accept that check and shake their hand and say thank you, or would your ego take over? I'll expand because I was at the gym today and I was wrong for what I was doing. I had my chalk all over the fucking place, making a hot ass mess. And somebody came up to me and was like, "Hey, brother, you know, these ladies take their time to clean the gym and they're doing a great job. I even take money out of my pocket sometimes to tip them. You need to handle that before you leave." And I shook his hand, I looked him directly in the eye and said, "Hey, man, thank you for checking me on that like a man. I appreciate you. But 3 years ago, 3 months ago, maybe my ego would have took over and I couldn't take that." Are you at that level where you could take something like that in your ego?
I'm 43, man. I can't remember the last time somebody corrected me and it bothered me. If somebody corrects me, my first thought is, oh, let me understand the scope of what I did, how it negatively affected the situation, and what I need to do. That's like my first reaction. I don't even have an ego phase anymore. If somebody is like, somebody correcting you is way different than somebody getting into your space and trying to make you feel small or vulnerable or in danger.
Right.
So if I dropped the weights by accident and somebody threw theirs down and came over to me and was like, "Hey, mother, just don't fucking do that. I'll kick your ass." That would be a different story because they're coming with a threat. I would want to control that energy first. And yeah, my ego would take over in that instance because I'm not going to be diminished or put in my place by anybody on the planet. That's a natural first reaction. I'm not saying it's justified. I'm just saying that's my natural reaction. But if somebody's like, "Hey, man, you really should have cleaned up your weights," my first feeling is how sorry I am. I was like, "Oh, crap. I left that mess. I left that for somebody else. I got to go fix it. Hey, let me fix that. Make sure that it never happens again." Always acknowledge what the issue is, perceived or otherwise. Address what you're going to do about it. So, and in the process, validate that it was a legitimate issue if it was. I think it's Louis C.K. who's got a complicated past himself. But he said something like, "You don't get to decide whether or not you offended somebody. They're offended or not. All you can control is how you react to it and what you do with it." So no, if I left a mess, absolutely not. No ego whatsoever. Do not care. I'll just fix it.
DJ Smoke, are you at that level yet in your life where you can be corrected?
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, I mean, everybody need corrections. If you're doing something wrong, something that people don't agree with, you gotta listen to people. There's always somebody wiser than you that be like, you know what? No, that's not how you handle this. Yeah, of course, always. Yeah, always.
To be honest, man, I think today was my graduation day because, I realized from that interaction and the way I handled it, I'm slowly becoming a grown ass man.
I didn't mean to insinuate you weren't grown.
No, Kevin, where I come from, brother, I come from, the dark side of the hood where we have no male guidance. So because we have no male guidance, it's hard to take criticism from another man. That's just being honest. It's just being, if we're going to be honest and open, the reason my community has so many issues is because we don't have enough men in our communities to correct us. And when we have those men who do correct us, the first interaction is violence by any means necessary, whether or not it's hands, feet, or sometimes we pick up a weapon to interact with that violence. And that's just being open and honest. Whether or not people want to be honest and open about it or not, it's the truth.
I think I honestly get less of that because, yeah, you're still muted, Brian. I
I'm
get
going
less
to
of
try
that.
to inbox him and he's on mute.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes.
Come. Oh no, I couldn't hear you guys at first. No matter what I did, I had to fuss with my settings and go deep. I'm on my phone on a rooftop in Bangkok, Thailand, right now. Here.
Those sound like the opening lyrics to a '80s song.
One Night in Bangkok. That's the '80s song, isn't it?
This is the follow-up. This is the sequel.
Ryan, the first question was, I was at the gym today and I got G-checked by an old timer. He schooled me. And I was asking the guys, is your ego to the point where someone could pull you to the side and let you know you're doing something wrong without being violent or wanting to fight that person that's taking the criticism?
I heard the back part of that. So yes, I call it, you got to be able to tell someone or be told if your tie's crooked. How are you going to know if you're not acting correct or doing something correct unless someone tells you? But when I was a young man, that was a much harder lesson. This is maybe Ryan of the last 10 years has been able to be told his tie's crooked. But when I was in my early 20s, I totally feel you on that, Norris. Like, I was a wild buck and nobody could tell me up from down. And I would square up or I would shoot my mouth off or, but then now I think it just takes a little bit of age, a little bit of wisdom. And then realizing at the end of the day, I didn't want to walk around with a crooked tie. So a guy telling me is like, whatever that little quick lesson is or something. And then is okay. And then even if they're wrong, like they're trying to correct me, but they're still not right, it can start a dialogue at a certain point if you keep everything in check. And
that's what happened today. And I was glad I've reached a level of maturity where I can have a conversation instead of reaching to the dark side. This is not on the question board. This is something I saw on Twitter today. Gentleman was in a fight. I don't know how the fight started. All I know is he got his ass handed to him. His girlfriend had to jump in and unfortunately unalive the person who was whooping his ass. And it was only hand-to-hand combat. If you're in a hand-to-hand combat situation, would you want your wife or significant other to jump in and handle that for you? We're going to start with Kevin. We're going to go to Ryan. And then DJ Smoke and I will jump in. Brother Kevin, do you want your wife jumping in? If you're getting your ass handed to you, bro, it's over. He got you on the ground. He's choking you out. And it's no other choice but her to reach for the 2A. Do you want her to pop the truck?
I don't sign on for any perceived inherent superiority. Capability-wise, I'm not talking about that, but like superiority on a value basis of men and women. I am not diminished if my wife has to save my life. I'm not. I'm alive. That's what the fuck I am.
Right.
So My wife and I, we have actual established. I'm not trying to sound like a fucking edgelord or anything like that, but we have established rules for when she's supposed to get involved and under what circumstances. I have things that I will say to her. One of them, amusingly, is sick them, like sick them, because she has that energy. Like she's a Valkyrie. She's ride or die. I know she's ride or die because when those guys 2 weeks ago pulled guns on me, she came after him with a baseball bat. That's not what I wanted her to do. Once guns were in play, I wanted her to back the fuck off. I told her to get on the phone with the cops. I talked them down because that was a smart thing to do. I was standing between two people who wanted to shoot each other, and I was physically blocking them with my body, and I had to talk one guy with a shotgun, one guy with a handgun down until the cops got there. And the last thing I needed was my feral trash goblin of a wife beating some dude over the head with a baseball bat, because that would not have made the situation better. However, if I'm getting choked out, she knows exactly what knife to use and where, because we've covered this. We've gone over this. We have trained this. I don't want to die just because of some chauvinistic idea that I'd be embarrassed that my wife saved my life. That's dumb. I don't respect the notion of, oh, yeah, it's a manhood thing. Fuck that. I want to live. And if that dude needs to bleed out on the floor because my wife stabbed him instead of me beating him with my hands, fucking so what? Somebody sneaks up behind me and my wife kneecaps him. So what? He got his ass whooped by a woman, not me. And she's 120 pounds of fury. You don't want to mess with her, I swear to God.
Brother Ryan, what's your answer, my guy?
I'm on the same page. Right, as Kevin there. My wife and I have also talked about this. We're not necessarily to the depth. I do a lot of extensive traveling. I'm currently, not at this moment, but walking down dank back lanes in Thailand. Like we were just strutting around Khao San Road, got drunk and got tattoos in a neighborhood you don't get drunk and get tattoos in.
Yeah,
and I have traveled to all over the world. And my wife knows the same thing. Like she knows if it breaks down, she gets back to me, squares up and throws up the fist. Like that is exactly. And we've had this discussion, and we've been in places like we've been in Costa Rica in the jungle. We've been in places where we've had to. Luckily, nothing's happened, but we've had to go back to back and throw them up. And she was ready to go. And my wife is the sort of opposite of that, but also I don't want to be on the end of her throwing down. My wife is 6 feet tall and a former powerlifter and a strongman competitor, so they got another thing coming when she squares up,
Right.
But I've had to have that discussion because of our lifestyle of going to crazy places in the world. So absolutely, if she bails me out, we live to see another crazy trip and another stupid tattoo in a bad neighborhood, right?
Facts. DJ Smoke, have you arrived to that point where a woman can come and rescue you out of a bad situation?
Yes. I mean, I'm cool with it. I'm used to handling my own thing. But my girl now, I don't think that she can fight or anything, but I think she would try to do something to protect me, you know what I'm saying? So she depends on me to do all the extra stuff. But what I'm saying is, yeah, why not? I mean, if it's ride or die, right? You know what I'm saying? Like Ryan was saying, hey man, ride or die. We doing this together. We here together. We gonna leave together. That's the goal. You know. So whatever happens, happens. Yeah, I believe it.
To be open and honest, yes, I will hope that Kim would jump in. And to be honest, there's only 3 people in this world that I'm actually afraid of. That's Kimberly Jackson, and Kimberly Jackson. So I'm just saying, she won't pop the trunk on you because she don't believe in 2A. But that ass whooping you may feel, you will probably wish that she popped the trunk on you, because she chased me around this house, and I'm every bit of 240. So I know at the end of the day what my wife can do, and she definitely going to jump in that fight.
Hey,
Now, she said she's going to call the police and file a police report afterwards.
After, yeah. Of course, it's afterwards.
All right. Now, here's the real questions, because I had to get those off my mind because I just thought about them in a day. All right. I've been noticing lately in this world that being a man is toxic. So that's really discussed the issue. Why is it toxic for a man to love and provide for their families? Kevin.
I don't think that it is. I think that's an extrapolation on what's being talked about by the people who are affected by legitimate behaviors that are toxic, and some whack jobs out there who just want to say all men are evil or whatever. But I don't really think that's the predominance of the conversation. I've never experienced anyone in my life. I've only heard angry men with microphones talking about how the world is against them. I've never had a woman ever tell me that I'm part of all of these problems. I have heard them express X, Y, and Z behavior are problematic and everybody has a hand in fixing it. But to go to the extent and say, oh, providing for your family is now a toxic behavior, I don't accept the premise of that argument. I don't hear anybody making it except for people complaining that they're not allowed to exist as a man anymore. I've never ever heard a woman or a non-binary person or somebody other than a cis male say that specific thing. Are there problems? Sure. Tacit sexism, implicit bias, all of that stuff. Yeah, all that exists. I think that's a problem. I think we need to look inward and address it. But I don't see a real and true, and I've never experienced a true attack. And that's not because I'm like such a bleeding heart liberal. When I'm walking down the street, I'm 6 feet tall, of 259 pounds, of do whatever the fuck I want. People don't look at me and think, oh, that's a feminist. Even though I'm a card-carrying feminist, I'm a member of he for she in the UN. Like, they don't look at me and they look at me and see danger. But I have still never, ever experienced that. Not to say that nobody ever has. There are some whack jobs out there, but I don't buy the premise that it is a broadly seen attitude that providing and protecting your family is toxic. Old-fashioned? Maybe. Toxic? No, I don't buy it.
Brother Ryan, same question.
I'd like to just separate the difference of toxic masculinity as being an asshole. A lot of guys are assholes. That's where this toxic masculinity, I think, stems from. If you treat someone without respect, you're being an asshole. You're not being a toxic masculine person. That's some bullshit semantics or some words, right? I live in a very woke place, and I have caught flack for being a 6 foot tall, muscular, cisgendered man many times. Not beyond anything like that's affected my life, but I've sniped comments, stink eye, like a bunch of stuff like that for just existing, because I live in a very, very, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I live in one of the most, I don't know, granola belt places. There's a lot of granola belt. I don't know. I'm just searching for words to describe how woke it is where I live. And, so I've felt that. But I've usually answered it with that same explanation there of masculinity isn't toxic. Being an asshole is toxic. And there's females that are assholes. You know what I mean? Like, that's just being a dick. And, if you treat people with respect, you get back respect. And then I think this kind of stuff will pass. It's the pendulum swinging, like in the 50s, where the man was the ruler of the household and blah, 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 blah. The pendulum was one way too far. Now the pendulum, whether it's perceived in society, the pendulum has swung the other way too far. And I think society will get over this little woke period, and maybe we'll learn some good lessons from it, where you act with a little more respect. It doesn't matter what gender you are or who you sleep with, or all of that shit's going to go away. And hopefully we move past this. But I've felt it a little bit, but I just don't care, and just usually try and give the argument that no, that's not toxic masculinity. That's just being a dickhead, and that is non-binary. That's non-gendered. That's non-racial. Anyone can be an asshole, and anyone can act with respect.
DJ Snow, same question.
Well, what's the question?
Why is it toxic not to love and provide for your family?
I kind of agree with what Ryan was saying. I mean, there are assholes out here. You know what I'm saying? And you see, I went through the other day. We ain't gonna talk about that. But yeah, when you just trying to just do the right thing, there's always somebody on the sideline looking at you like you're not doing the right thing. If that makes sense. Like, there's always a hater, a sideline hater, come out of nowhere when you try to provide for your family and do the right damn thing and just do what you're doing for your business or whatever you're doing. It's always somebody. So No, it's not toxic. To provide for your family, fuck no, hell no. That's the best thing you can do. Is provide for your family. Anything else don't make sense.
Facts. I realized 2 incidents when I knew that I was doing a good job in my marriage as a man. One, when Kim had to go to South Carolina by herself with her nephew, and she was on a different floor, and she had to walk down a dark hallway by herself pretty late at night. And she was like, I missed your presence because you always make me feel safe in these type of situations. That's when I knew I was doing an outstanding job as a man. And my wife knew that my presence alone made her feel safer than me not being there. The second incident, when she called me when she went to Sam's recently, and normally when I'm in a grocery store, I see a woman with those big jugs of water. I pick it up for her, the old man, whoever. I'm shaking hands with the veterans. I'm telling them thank you for their service. And she was like, I passed 2 men while picking up this water and they didn't offer me anything. That's when she realized that I was doing an outstanding job of not only caring for her, but caring for other people as well. And that made me feel proud to be the person I am now. That made me feel like I'm doing a good job in my evolution of becoming an honorable man.
But that makes sense.
Hey, man, I'm just being open and honest, baby. All right, my next question, question number 2. Are you at the level of your life where you can walk away from a fight for the best interest of your family? Kevin.
I'm not sure I've ever been any other place. Like everything you should go into everything with thinking about the risk versus reward. Is if I'm solo, chances are I'm not going to walk away from a fight, period, unless you can explain how I'm wrong. Once you point out to me how I'm wrong, if I'm going to apologize and I'm going to walk away from that fight, because I don't even lose my ability to like be rational even when I'm angry. Well, certain scenarios, but like for the most part, if it's just a disagreement, we're going to take it outside. If you can explain how I was being an asshole, I'm going to calm down. But if it comes to my family, if me getting my way, solving my ego, saving face is going to cost my family anything, I will walk away from that fight, period.
Facts. Ryan.
I'm in the same boat. In a heartbeat, I could walk away because I just sort of live my life by a tenet called enlightened self-interest. What am I going to gain from squaring up with a guy if it's not a self-defense situation or something like that? Nothing. There is no game. I have a career. I have a fan-fucking-tastic life. And catching a shit charge or something like that, man, that will ruin my goddamn life. I'll lose my license. Like, I have a license to sell mortgages and stocks and all that in Canada, right? Like, I can't have a criminal record. I can't travel all over the world. You know, I can't imagine catching a shit assault charge for some beef because I'm 3 beers deep. You know what I mean? But if it, you know, right? So absolutely, I will say whatever it takes because I think in my mind, I'm going to go back to my fan-fucking-tastic life, and this dipshit's going to go back to his shithole life, and I'm going to win. I don't care if he smack talks me to his buddies, because if he sees me in 6 months, I'm going to be driving my nice car to my nice life, having my nice wife, and he's still going to be a shithead. So who wins in that cosmic situation, right? It's going to be me.
Even if,
you know, right?
Even if you whoop his ass. Even when you whoop his ass, he's still going to be talking shit to his friends like he kicked yours. Like it literally makes no benefit.
Yeah, and there's only a loss. There's only a loss of getting my ass whooped or catching a charge. You know, right? Like, so those are the only outcomes of a non-self-defense situation. You know what I mean? Like encounter like that. So I would walk away in a heartbeat, laughing, going back to my fantastic life. Yeah. And especially too, I guess. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, Ryan. We got time, brother.
I was just okay. It was just. It was and also too because of a lot of the situations I'm in. Like currently, you know, example, I'm in Bangkok right now. No way I'm going to a Thai jail, man. No way. Like no way. Am I going to a Mexican prison? I'm not going to a Thai prison. I'm not going to a Moroccan prison. I'm not going to some African prison. Like not happening. I will lose face. I don't care. I will go, you know, I will bow down to somebody just to walk away. And like when I was, you know, walking some of the streets here yesterday, some photos up on my Instagram and stuff like that. If something happened, man, I will run. I don't give a shit. No way I'm going in a Bangkok prison, man.
No Brittany Griner.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm not going to no Russian jail, man.
DJ Smoke, can you walk away from the fight, brother, for the best interest of your family?
Yes, I could, because at the end of the day, that's your family. So even if you get into an altercation with somebody and you win that fight, you won that fight for that night, but then you wind up getting locked up, they get a charge, and now you probably going to serve some time. So you really didn't win the fight. You know what I'm saying? You lost everything. You lost your family. Now your ass is serving time. So, you know, you got to think about that. You know, right? I mean, am I right? You know
absolutely,
like,
absolutely. It's just like there's a huge difference between our life experiences that I have to acknowledge, because when the cops finally arrived and there was 8 people brawling, I'm standing in the middle of them and there's 2 guys with guns. The first things the cops said is they pointed at me and one of them goes, "I know him from the gym. He's fine," and told me to like go stand aside. I wasn't in trouble. I wasn't put in cuffs. I wasn't roughed up at all. And it's just that is a huge difference between the experience that I'm going to have and that you're going to have if a cop comes and breaks up your situation. I acknowledge that, and I sit in a level. I sit pretty and still walk away.
Yeah, okay, but the thing is, I mean, you look like a intimidating guy. I mean, you know, y'all guys work out. You see what I'm saying? Y'all in the gym, so it would take a drunk asshole to jump out there with y'all. They got to be drunk. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't gonna be no sober person just gonna just like, yeah, I'm gonna try this guy today. It's gonna be
but I live in a town where everybody's drunk like all the time. So
I know, but I'm just saying. So it would take a super drunk asshole to be like, you know what? I'm gonna try this guy tonight. And then it might be that guy that just be like, man,
I'm about to throw it all
yeah,
away.
you like, man, fuck this guy, man. I'm about to whoop his ass, you know what I'm saying? Because he's just so damn drunk. You know, it just, trust me, I've been there. So what I'm saying is, how do you handle that? Like, it's like,
good question.
How do you handle that? Like, when you got somebody that just, you know you can whoop their ass. You know it. You know it in your mind. All I got to do is hit his ass here. It's over. He's going to fold up like a lawn chair. You know, but then you're going to wind up catching the charge, or it's going to be some other shit. How do you handle that? Like now, like you said, now, I think both of y'all are married. Or
evolution.
So if y'all married, you're protecting your family. So some guy disrespect your wife, you know you're gonna do something. It's automatic. You're going to do something.
I think I got your answer, Smoke. Because to be honest, I think I can look at it on more points of view than everybody here. Because like outside of Kevin, who no longer have to wear the uniform, I look at life as 3 different people. Yeah. I look at life as Federal Officer Johnson. I look at life as Norris Johnson. And I look at life as a husband who has now a wife. Federal Officer Johnson, you can say whatever the hell you want to Federal Officer Johnson, because you're not talking to me. You're talking to the costume. You're not really talking to the individual. You're talking to what you assume this costume represent. Now, you try to violate any federal laws and procedures, your ass going to jail.
Right.
By any means necessary, politely. Now, if you're talking to Norris Johnson, I will walk away from a fight because it's Norris Johnson. Norris Johnson don't need to lose his gun permits. Now, if it's husband Johnson, I don't know if Kevin and Ryan ever heard the story I had to turn up in food line parking lot. But when it comes down to my wife, I will fucking destroy you. And someone learned that lesson the hard way. Because if we were in food line parking lot, my wife drives like an old lady. She does everything she's supposed to do and use the turn signals. And someone decide they wanted to roll down their window and threaten my wife with their words. Next thing they know, they see a monster coming towards them, and now they want to speed across the parking lot, and then they see a monster chasing them. So if you really wanted that smoke, sir, you could have got all the smoke you wanted. But that's husband. So husband me, you threatened my wife, you gotta fucking die. I'm sorry. Regular, those other 2 individuals, you can do what the fuck you want to them. Husband me and wife Kim, you gotta fucking die.
But no, but that's what I'm saying. So to Kevin and Ryan, that's what I was saying. Like, there's a boundary, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like there's only, and I don't know if y'all got kids, but especially if you got kids, like no. when it comes to, well, right now I'm divorced, but when it comes to my daughter, that's my number one girl, and now my girl I'm dealing with, but really my daughter. If you do anything to disrespect that, I'm gonna do 5 to 10 automatically. I'm gonna do 5 to 10 because that's my girl. You know what I'm saying? My daughter's my precious thing. I'm gonna protect her at all will. That's what you're supposed to do, right? For your kids.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. So
Yeah, but that's just the opposite of what we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Is if the fight's going to cost your family, there's a
Yeah.
cost sometimes for not fighting, and that's your family not feeling safe.
Right.
If somebody, God, I can't imagine the person that would make her actually feel fear because she's rabid. She's like, you guys don't understand. My wife is wild. I don't think she knows fear. But if somebody made her feel in danger, I would take my time on them. I mean, I won't describe on here what I would do to that person, but I would never see, I would never see sunlight again.
Yeah.
Like, I would want them to suffer so badly that they gave up hope before their body expired. I would want them to know the depth of despair and how sorry they were before they gave up, and I continued to hurt them. Like, you're not a person to me anymore if you hurt my kids, if you hurt my wife. Right. You're an object. You're an object lesson. But like, it's never come to that because people are terrified of her.
I think the funniest Facebook post I ever read, I'm gonna try not to mess it up. Kevin was coming out of a parking lot, and a bush was blocking his point of view. Kevin stated, "This bush is going to get someone killed one day." His wife's statement, real quick, because I'm not even that quick, was, "So was Helen Troy's." I was like, God damn, that's fucking hardcore. You crazy. I was like, that's some crazy psychopathic shit to say on the spot. Like,
yeah.
Damn. Now, who else will probably say some shit like that? Kim Jackson. They would probably be good friends. I don't know how much time y'all got, so let me know y'all run out of time because we're only on question 3. I got like a long ass list. So let me know if I need to rush through these.
I'm good, my guy. You do your thing.
All right. Why is it hard for men to show their emotions? That's a deep one right there.
I didn't learn how to do that authentically until I was like fucking 38 years old. And I've only really learned some of it in the last 5 years. It's just like, one, because it's societally discouraged. You don't really know how. It's kind of like, I had a very old school traditional masculine father, and he's 71, almost 72, and he just figured out how to talk about his feelings last year. You know, when my mom had a close call, and he had a lot of big feelings. When his mom and dad died 6 weeks apart from each other, he didn't cry. He didn't say anything. He didn't know how to. I learned through therapy. I had some bad experiences in the Marine Corps that were dismantling my ability to handle living. And I had some hard experiences after that. And it wasn't until I went to counseling and I was able to actually externalize these, find out what was going wrong, figure out what the root of my fears were, and why it was hurting me so bad. You know, weird stuff like I saved a girl off of a garage roof in 2015. Her name's Heather. She's still here today because I plucked her off the top of a parking garage, because she was going to kill herself. She's 15 years old. I felt bad for 2 years that I saved her. I couldn't figure out why. My therapist had to explain to me, you feel bad because you had all these other life experiences. You didn't think you were worthy to save her. You thought somebody more worthy, a better person should have done it, and you don't have a right to feel good about it. Like, that's how tied up our feelings can get. So I take that shit really serious now. On my streams, I have like Mental Health Mondays. I talk openly about my experiences. I have semicolon tattooed on my arm, my shaking hand. So when somebody shakes my hand, they know I've been there and that I'm a person that they can talk to about it. We have to learn it. We learn it later in life, but it's not like women learn it effectively. They come together in groups. They share emotionality with each other. But even that, when not like formalized and when not acknowledged out loud, can turn into these toxic, dependent emotional relationships where when somebody steps out of line just a little bit, they were friends for 20 years, but now they hate each other until they die. Right. So like, I don't think any of us have yet benefited from a society that acknowledges the importance of emotional intelligence, dealing with our emotions constructively. But I think that we're going to get there. Right now, we're in the throes of a society that's like, I have a feeling, therefore it's important. And that's too far to one side. Not all our feelings actually are important. We need to learn how to analyze, figure out what's impactful, figure out what we can change, do stuff about, take care of that, and how to process the stuff we can't do anything about. I think once the pendulum, as Ryan, great analogy, by the way, really useful, swings back to the middle a little bit, we're going to be able to be a more effective society that isn't constantly having our feelings hurt while accusing everybody else of having the hurt feelings when we're emotionally stunted as well.
Right. So can I take this moment? I want to give a shout out to Mac Bean, Scottish Fitness. They in the chat. They you know, he in the chat. So he leaving a lot of comments. So I just want to say shout out to Mac Bean, you know.
By the way, strongest old man in the world.
Oh, that's who that is? That's
60, 70, I think like pushing like between 64 and 70 years old, pressing 405 like it's nothing.
Oh, okay. All right, well,
damn, I'm trying to get back to 405.
In the comments,
I've seen some of John's videos, absolutely, and John's kicking around old man strength on the internet as well. A web group that I run.
Old man strength.
John Dean ain't nothing to play with. That's all I gotta say. Ain't nothing, you don't want to step in the gym like I'm about to outlive this old man. You about to get the birds. Ryan,
he might only hit you once, but that's as many times as he needs to.
Ryan, same question. Why is it hard for men to express their emotions these days?
This one, when I saw your questions come out, caused me the most thought-provoking answer, because I am absolutely, I will put up my hand and go, I'm emotionally stunted. I don't have feelings. If I have a feeling, I bury it. Boys don't cry in my world. You suck it the fuck up. And you like, that's, I grew up hard, and I'm just starting to unpack these things in my own life with my wife right now, that I come from a place where you harden the fuck up, and emotions did mean nothing when I was on the streets. And, you know, the 0% chance I gave a fuck about anything, or if I did, I just buried it. So and there was no feelings, didn't get you shit on the street. Like, I was homeless for the first time at 19, and up until I was about 26, on and off the streets in various states of drug addiction and homelessness. And survival was survival, you know, like you didn't, ooh, boo-hoo, fuck you, like, you know what I mean? And I know that's not the correct place to be in my life as a middle-aged man who's married and in society now. And I got off the streets, got off drugs, got a college degree, you know, all, you know, right? Like, now I'm slowly unpacking that. And I think it's the pendulum thing from the 50s. All of my manly heroes as a kid were manly, and, you know, boys don't cry. And I used that as strength at the time when I needed it. And now that I've ascended to a point in life where I'm not in constant danger, or I can have a feeling, I don't even know how to start. You know what I mean? I can't even, like, it's just a one day at a time process for me to try and have a feeling that I can process and articulate to somebody else that isn't, I'm hungry, I'm horny, and I want to go to the gym. You know, those are my three feelings, you know.
You got the major one covered then.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't even know how to start. Like, it's just, I'm just starting out, 45 years old, to learn how to process a feeling. So that, you know, there you go, guys. There's some unpacked truth right there. And I don't even know how to answer this question, Norris. So thank you for asking it, because now I'm going to have to talk about this with my wife, and I'm going to, you know, I'll unpack one feeling today because of that question, Norris. you know?
Hey, man. Hey. We counselors too, man. You have to do it.
Before I jump to DJ Smoke, to be honest, the whole purpose of my podcast, I know we're all fit bros, but we have so much knowledge and experience and other shit. We can talk about fitness until our faces turn green. But at the end of the day, I think people at this point expect more from us. And the reason I started this podcast is because all the emotional damages that we do bury, that maybe we need to be open and honest about it. DJ Smoke, same question. Why do men bury their emotions, brother?
I think because, well, I'm an alpha. I've always been an alpha. And the thing is, it makes us look weak to the woman, you know. So they look at us like, when we express our emotions, you know what I'm saying, they make us look weak, or oh, you know, who am I dealing with? Why am I with this dude? You know what I'm saying? So we always on guard. We got to be the protector. We got to be this. We got to be that. Yeah, goddamn, we got to be the provider. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many titles for the guy. Women don't even. I don't think women understand how many titles they give us without even saying it. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you married or you in a relationship, it's like they expect so much shit from us. You see what I'm saying? Even if you down and out, let's say you don't have a job, they still expect all this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I don't have no. Let's say I don't have no income. Like, so what am I supposed to do now? Now I still got to act strong, knowing that I'm going through something emotionally in my mind. A lot of women don't think guys go through emotions. They think that we always see y'all the big guys. See, I'm the smallest one in this group. So y'all the big dudes. So y'all wife will look at y'all different if you start showing emotion, because y'all big tough guys. You know, y'all over 200 pounds. I'm not even at 200 pounds yet. So what I'm saying is, by having y'all tough exterior for your woman, they look at it like you can't show no emotion. You can't be weak. You can't be this. You see what I'm saying? Why can't we be like that? You see what I'm saying?
Breaking
like,
down.
It's because I don't give a damn if you bench 500 pounds. There's still emotion right there. There's emotion benching that shit. You know what I'm saying?
To be honest, I think I can take this one for your question. To be honest, I think my wife expects me to be more open with my emotions.
Right.
And to be honest and open, my wife already knows. Even though me, Kevin, and Ryan are these sizes, our wives know that we're big teddy bears. And in their world, we're their teddy bears. Sometimes it's hurtful to us to walk around with people looking at the outer shell, and that's all they see because they don't see the heart.
Right.
Now, to be honest, the reason I can agree with Ryan, the reason it took me so long to really realize it's alpha to have emotions is because all my life people have been tearing me down, and I had to be on guard. My mama, my community, everyone's beating your ass. Where they're like, you got to take these options of the streets and the streets alone, and then you got to come back from that, and then you got to become a fucking human being. How do you do that when your own mama never said she loved you? How do you do that when your own community say you're a fucking throwaway? So you got to come back from all those issues and realize, as a man, I can be emotional too. That's why I try to do my damnedest these days. Once a month, once a week, every once in a while, out of the blue moon, I hit people up. I tell them I love them. I do things that I try to want someone to do for me. Like when Kevin had his bad day, I sent him the craziest picture in my phone. I got my wife sent me a crazy picture of me looking crazy just for Kevin. And I'm not going to say what that picture was because it's me between me, Kevin, and God. If Kevin ever exposed that picture, he got to die. But at the end of the day, I knew he was having a fucked up day. And I was like, what can I do just to make it? Because this dude is a vet. It could have took that 1 second for him to say, fuck it, I'm going to end it all.
Yeah. It
could be that. Like, being honest, bro, it's been days when I was out of work that it could have been a microsecond. I would say,
that's why I talk to you all the time. That's why I talk to you all the time.
I could have said, fuck it, because things get hard. But at the end of the day, hard time make hard men. Sometimes soft times make soft men. But at the end of the day, I would rather be the hard person I am and learning how to love than be a soft, emotional baggage, soy boy, as they will call them, that cannot handle my emotions, and the only way to handle my emotions is with violence.
I totally agree with that. I mean,
learn how to use your words instead of going to.
I agree with that.
Going to use the other route. All right, this is a fun one. Have you ever been an F boy? And if you have been an F boy, please give us an example of your F boy status. Kevin.
No.
Lie to me, Ricky Bobby.
Seriously, I never have been. Like I've been.
Dick, so don't you lie to me. Don't you lie to me, Ricky
I'm not. I could have been a fuckboy any time. I've always been conventionally attractive. Always. Like when I was skinny, I was still like Johnny Depp style attractive. It's stupid. It's dumb.
Yeah,
And
nah,
because
you
of that
like that
expectation,
style,
I've kind of
though.
always
You do.
gone like resisted it. I have had sex with more people than I wanted to, but that was because my first wife
I never heard
had a
anybody say
lifestyle
that.
she wanted to live, and I wasn't on board with it, but I had to go along with it. And I was very young. She was older than me. I learned a lot about my boundaries and shit that I needed. I've been with like 3 women that I wanted to in my entire life. The number of people I've been with was a way more than that, but none of that shit was my idea. So I don't consider myself a fuckboy because I wasn't invested in those interactions. I wasn't trying to be with those people. It was a position I was put in because my wife at the time, a long time ago, had a very specific lifestyle that is more common now, that she wanted to pursue, that I found no value or comfort or nurturing in. And we didn't work out. And that's only one of the reasons why we didn't work out.
Sound like some type of poly or swinger situation over there, Kelvin.
More of the latter, because poly wasn't really a thing that people were talking about.
Bro, Ryan, have you ever been an F-boy? And please give us an example of your F-boy status.
Okay, that one there, like, what are we using as the definition of a fuckboy here? Like that was you know,
Lying,
right? Like
cheating, womanizing, and all the above.
Oh, okay, yeah, 100% for most of my life. I only got. And then what's funny is that Kevin, you say you've been conventionally attractive, right? I was fat and fucking ugly, man, and I still had chutzpah, and I had the gift of gab, and I had game, and I spent a decade or more of my life single and playing the field. And when I was having, I had some good times on the streets during that period. When I was slanging and making some good cake, and it was easy, man. It was easy, and didn't matter what I looked like because I had a bag of dope and a roll of cash in my pocket. So, and then I want to give up to, and why I'm not like that now. My hit count is it's got 3 digits or more, boys. But it's and I'm not necessarily proud of it or not proud of it. It just was the life I was leading. But I want to give it up to a couple of different women in my life that house broke me, if that makes sense. I had a couple of good relationships when I was a little younger, in my mid 20s, and I was like, okay, and I still, a few more years of hitting the field and all that, and then, but I got slowly housebroken, and I lead a better life now, and I look back at those days, and I don't regret them or anything, but I could have been doing better. Is all that it seemed like a lot of spinning my wheel and wasting time. And going out to the clubs and getting the ladies and all that. Is like, man, I was just spending money. I could have been investing. I was wasting time. I could have been investing in myself. I could have had, met some wonderful ladies and hung around for more than a weekend. But, I'm glad I'm not like that now. But yeah, most of my 20s, man, or even half of my 30s.
DJ Smoke, before I unpack my own truth, have you ever been an F-boy? Give us your F-boy status, baby.
Well, I've been out there for a while. So, yeah. I've been out there for a while. Yeah. So, yes, I have. I got a little bit of what Ryan talked about, and I got a little bit of what Kevin talking about. So, it's, the attraction, I've never had problems getting women, but what happens is you do too much. So, I've done that. And I'm still probably doing that. I need to probably edit that part. But yeah. But honestly, yes, I've been there for you. Let me just answer the question.
Before you get yourself in trouble, I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
Because all my stuff is in the past.
Oh yeah.
First and foremost, before I make my statement, thank you, Father God, for grace and mercy. I was a different human being. But Norris used to be the captain of fucking F-boy.
I've done it. Everybody done it, right?
I've been in Kevin World where not only was I hosting the party, I was bringing the women to the party. So I've been in Kevin World where I'm bringing multiple women with me everywhere I go. And that's not the world you want to live in. I've been in Ryan's situation where you're the king of, you got to have verbal skills because we ain't all blessed with that good genetics. So you got to have a good wordsmith game. You want to get a little play out. we just now getting our muscles. So now we got settled down. We're married, we're happy. Now we looking like beasts out here. But for a long time, I had to use my words. And my words got me in a lot of trouble with a lot of hood rats. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to mind my business. I'm not going to say no more. I'm minding my business. And like Ryan, I'm probably like knocking on 200-300. It's bad, but I've been having sex since I was 7. I had my first like threesome at 13 where I had 3 girls giving me oral sex at 13.
Hey,
yeah, man.
I lost my virginity.
Thank you, Father God, for grace and mercy.
You know,
so
I did lose my virginity, and now I think the calm is coming back. Because my daughter just had her first period.
So you
I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, she's 11. I'm like, oh my goodness. How am I about to deal with this?
Good luck.
You know what I'm saying? So
I got a shotgun you can borrow.
Hey, I'm most definitely gonna be shooting some people. So what I'm saying is, I don't know if y'all guys got daughters, but it's like my karma came back real quick. You know, like 11, she having her first cycle.
You know what they say.
God damn.
You know the worst villains.
They
get cursed with daughters.
I most definitely was a villain, and I'm still a villain.
Look at that though. She had 2 daughters.
No, I'm not a villain. Let me correct. I'm not a villain no more. But yeah, you know.
Look at that though. She had 2 daughters. That was for every fuck up. You know.
Do y'all have any kids? Kevin,
yeah, I got 4 girls.
Ryan?
No kids for me.
Oh, I see. You're doing good. Doing good.
I got 4 baby girls.
Ryan look like he got about 3 kids.
No, that was Ryan's voice. It just
no kids.
No kids?
Yeah, it was
no kids.
I got
no. Ryan look like he about that kid life. You know what I'm saying? It look like he got the whole family.
They must not be claiming. They must not be putting them on them.
Hey man, you can't be about that kid life and getting tattoos in Bangkok, boys. You know.
That's hepatitis. Waiting to happen right there.
You know, you got 2 choices. You can have that kid life, or you can have that Ryan life, where I'm just flying all over the world, man. Like that's what I save all my money and you know, fly all over the world and have a good time. I made that choice to not have kids.
I like that life. I prefer that life. But I love my daughter.
I'll take care of my own self when I get old. I'll be okay.
No, I like that life though.
All right. Question number 5. What is your biggest regret? Kevin, what is your biggest regret?
You know, I got a number of them on here that I just can't say. So I'll share the biggest one I can share. Because I got a lot of regrets that stem from my last deployment, where a lot of my issues come from. Which I will talk about in the year 2041.
Okay, so to be continued.
Yeah. I guess my biggest regret is my ex-wife. I cheated on her, not because I wanted to have an affair, but because I was in like a really emotionally compromised state. Just left the military, just joined a new job. My new boss was like all over me. First day, she was sexually harassing me, and I just let her talk me into it. You know, and it was a huge mistake, and it really hurt my ex-wife, and we're not together anymore, and she didn't deserve that, and I really wish I'd never done it. I wish I hadn't. I just wish I hadn't. It's like my biggest point of shame that I can talk about.
That's deep. We're really getting into some baggage.
Hey,
Ryan.
Hey, you said on this show you want the truth, and that's my honest answer.
All right.
Hey man, people are going to be very surprised when I send this to you, and then you guys determine to share it, because they're probably going to think we're going to talk about the safety zone. But hey man, that's
The safety zone.
The stuff that we supposed to know about. You know, we only dumb jobs. Yeah. We don't have human emotions. Bro, Ryan, what is your biggest regret?
You know, I'm going to get deep and dark here for a second as well. As mentioned, first time I was on the streets, I was 19 years old, and you know, some good times, some bad times, and whatnot, and some various states of drug addiction. But I can tell you right now, that first time I put a needle in my arm is the biggest regret. I flushed my life down the fucking toilet, and one of my biggest moments of life was I was homeless on the streets in Winnipeg, out on the street with a needle in my arm, and the moment I took that needle out and jammed it into the ground and said no more. But that just drugs, man. Like I flushed my shit down the fucking toilet for 5-6 years of my life. Are blurry, hazy, PTSD. I did some horrible shit to get drugs. I did some horrible shit on drugs. That drug lifestyle and that street lifestyle, like right there. But that first time I put that needle in my arm was the biggest goddamn fuck up. If anyone's watching this, just don't fucking do it, man. I don't know. You know, like there's no gain, there's no nothing. It's the most, like, it's just the stupidest shit I ever did in my life. And I will have baggage and scars from that period of my life for the rest of my life. This is 20 years ago. You know, I haven't done any kind, other, smoking a little doobie, drinking a little beer here in 20 plus years. But the scars are still there. And, that period of my life is still haunts me to this day. And it's right to that moment when I stuck a fucking needle in my arm, right? Like, keep the needles in your ass, boys, not your arms, all right?
Facts. DJ
Oh, okay. I get you.
What's your biggest regret?
I mean, my biggest regret is also similar to Kevin's. My ex-wife. I just fucked that whole shit up. So, yeah, I know what you feeling. Like, if I can do it all over again, I would do it a different way. But life is life. It is what it is. But I ain't about to do well in the past. But, yeah, my ex-wife, my daughter's mother, I would do it. I would do it different.
That's maturity, bro. My biggest regret, to be honest, is because me and my mother's situation was so toxic at the end of her life. My biggest regret is I just never got enough time to tell her I love her before she died. That's probably my biggest regret. Now, 2 years down the road, and you get to reflect on life, and you think about, hey, man, she was fucking up. But I remember she still did a better job than most. So she had a complicated life, and I wish I would have said I love you one more time before she closed her eyes. That's my biggest regret ever in life, is that. All right, question number 6. This one comes from TikTok because I actually did a reaction to it because it was so crazy. Why is it homophobic or toxic for a heterosexual man to only want to date or love cisgender women? Kevin.
I think we haven't done a good enough job of accepting and incorporating trans people into society so we can get to the point where we can say, hey, it's not that you're not a woman, it's that I just don't get turned on by dick.
Right.
Like, hey, it's not you. I believe you're a woman. You say you're a woman. That's cool. I don't want dick. And that to be enough and that to be okay. Right? We need to get to that point.
No, he's saying it the way I was saying.
You can cancel by tomorrow. None of us going to have a YouTube channel by tomorrow, by the way. But we all going down in flames, baby. Let this shit burn. But
you said it the way I'm saying, the way I think.
Finish your comment, bro. Finish your comment.
Look, I have told this to trans women because I'm very supportive of my trans friends. I'm very supportive of the protective rights for them. They're the most vulnerable demographic of people. I think they need to be protected. When they're like, would you date a trans woman? I'd take a trans woman out on a date. Would you have sex with one? I'm not into dick. And I say it very comfortably because that's the truth.
It is.
I'm not into dick. It's not what gets me excited. So why would we fuck? This is not complicated. There's no hate in my heart. There's no bigotry. It doesn't do it for me.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I can't say anything different. Like you just hit that one. You like that. That's just the answer, man. Like, you if you want to interlock your parts with another human being, you can choose. It's your right to pick the parts you want to interlock your parts with. So, and if certain parts don't do it for you, I don't know why society thinks that's toxic or thinks that's wrong, right? Like, I mean, exactly. I have some trans friends. Would I go out for dinner with a trans person? Of course I would. Would I go fishing with one? Would I have a beer? Absolutely, right? Do I want to interlock my parts with, like insert tab A into slot B? Right? Like, this is the life that I lead, and but there's no hate in my heart for it. You know what I mean? I don't want to insert tab A into tab A. You know what I mean? Right? Like, so It's when it should just be that simple. You should be able to sleep with whoever you want. And if I don't want to sleep with Dick, then it should just be cool, right? You know, like, or if a person with, you know, whatever, right? Like it shouldn't be a toxic statement. And you know what I mean? I agree with Kevin. It shouldn't be toxic, but you should be able to do what you want, you know?
So
I totally agree.
Anytime you're trying to compulse somebody to have an attraction, to be with anyone for any reason, I find it wrong. So it's just not okay. I think some people fall back to that immediately, like, so that they cannot answer for their fear, their bigotry, their whole answers, because there are some people who are bigoted who will use that excuse. But that's a little bit different. This is no different in my mind than I won't have sex with a really skinny woman. I will break her. It's not attractive to me. If you look frail, I don't want to have sex with you. That's it. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not biased against skinny women. I think they have every right to be happy and they just don't get to have my penis. Okay? The same thing with women with penises. You don't get to have my penis.
Right.
You have your penis. That's right.
It's my penis.
DJ Smoke.
What's up? What's up?
Question. I came. They got me off the question. Why is it
Well,
and toxic to only love a woman who was born a woman with the right Lego pieces, without the penis? Why is it toxic?
I don't think it's toxic at all. I think that's the way that we're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, nah, I don't want nobody that had some operation and all that bullshit. No. Like, I want somebody who's born a female. You know what I'm saying? You was born a female, you going through female tendencies, you got all the bullshit you got to deal with. Nah. I don't want no dude that thought he was cute and then all of a sudden, yeah, he about to transition. I'm probably about to offend some people, but, you know, like, no, I'm not that dude. Like, no, I would never go that route. So, yeah.
I don't think that would matter to me if they were reassigned any more than somebody having fake boobs would matter to me.
Right.
Right. But that's just me. I don't get to make that decision. Like, some people really like big women. Okay. Some people don't like big women. Some people have shitty reasons for not liking big women. But I think we have to stop where you're telling people who they have to be attracted to. But point in case, I have never seen a trans person make that case. I've never seen them do that. I've only seen woke people do it on behalf of trans people. I don't think that any statistically relevant portion of trans people are saying you have to be attracted to me. I think their wannabe allies and virtue signalers are screaming at the top of their lungs, if you don't find that woman who used to be a man attractive, you're a bigot. Like, that's what I see the most of. I don't see trans people. And most trans people are like, I don't want to fuck you. Why? You want to fuck me? I don't want to fuck you. Why would we even have this conversation? Susie, get out of it. Stop saying who I have to fuck.
I feel you. I mean,
Yeah, guys, like, for me, it's about the parts, but I just want to say something funny right now. Like, I'm in Thailand right now, boys. There's some lady boys here.
Welcome to Bangkok.
You know, and you can't always tell here. So, you know, of course I'm married, you know, I'm happily married, blah, blah, you know, of course, right? But walking down the street here, boys, whoo, and you don't know if they're packing heat or not, but they are hot as fuck, man. Like, I don't know, right? Like, you got to be careful around here, and you're not sure who's packing heat, right? But in terms of attractiveness, I've probably been attracted to several trans people in the last 24 hours as I'm walking down the streets looking, because I'm in Thailand. So good thing I'm married on this trip, boys, you know, right? Because I might have my first, you know, you know, this is a place where, you know, you never know, a couple beers in on Khao San Road, man.
I don't think this would be such a problem or a point of discussion if sorry to get serious, but like,
I had to laugh. But all I was saying, recently in our community, a young lady named Hennessy decided that she wanted to move to Miami and date the fucking scammers and have sex with the scammers and not revealed her truth that she was a trans woman. Now she's shaming these people she slept with and lied to about her being a trans woman. If you don't tell me the fucking truth, and you got all the Lego pieces, because she transitioned everything. You had a vagina. I saw a vagina. I wanted to smash. I smashed. If you lied to me, oh well. If I go into a conscious decision, then that's my choice. But don't take my choice away from me. And like Ryan said, you in Bangkok, baby, you never know what may happen, man. You never know. You gonna drink some of that funky beer and some funky chip. You just like, oh, that drink look nice right there.
I don't know. It's on the same level as body count with me. Like if a girl doesn't tell me how many people she's been with before she's been with me, it's the same level as if they fully transitioned and they don't tell me that at a time. If I didn't have a problem with it when I was inspecting the parts, then I don't think it's reasonable to have a problem with it afterwards. Because otherwise we continue this mentality that they are wrong for existing. And it wouldn't be such a conversation if so many trans women weren't fucking murdered after they said, hey, I used to be a man. And the guy couldn't handle it and he fucking killed her. So like when that stops being a problem, I think it'll be a lot easier conversation to have. But right now we're so deep in the sauce with just being afraid of anything that we don't understand and turning that into anger and hate on top of what we talked about before, not being able to process our feelings, that people are literally being murdered over this shit. So I like, if my wife came downstairs right now and said, Kevin, I have a confession to make. I used to be a man. I'd be angry that I'd been married for 5 years and she didn't tell me that. Like she didn't trust me with that, but I wouldn't be married that she used to have a penis. I'm happy she doesn't have one now. And that doc must have done great work because I can't fucking tell. Right? So like what's actually the problem outside of whatever battle you're having with the notion that that person used to have a penis? But in the Marine Corps, I spent so much time around swinging dicks that they lost their power. It's not like I see a dick and I'm like, oh, another penis exists. Like that doesn't scream alpha to me. That's bitch energy. That's unwashed ass energy. You're afraid of a penis? Roughly half the population have penises. Fucking grow up.
Some of us,
you're right.
in the military, some of us was NCAA athletes. I've seen plenty of penises in my life, and I'm not offended. And some of us used to do some strange shit and host strange parties. I've seen a lot of penises. I'm good. I know my preferences. Women.
Yep, I've had a blue ribbon tied around my penis. Yeah, I get it. Sorry, that's an in-joke. Carry on. Yeah. My wife is the only one who will laugh when she sees that on the pod.
All right. Question number 8. Would you sacrifice your life for your family?
Who says no to that?
Who knows? Somebody out there is probably not willing to die for it.
Without even a second thought. I do that for the guys I served with. Of course I'm going to do it for my family.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. It's at best I can say yes, of course, right? And then in real life I can say situationally, what's the situation, right? You don't know how you're going to react in certain situations. Would I want to? Sure. No, I don't want to die. Would I die for my wife? Yes. What's the situation? Is it holding 2 people over a cliff or some bullshit like that? Or is it someone squared up with a pistol? Is it like, you know what I mean? Like there's different situations. We can all say we will, and it's the right thing to say, and I agree with it, and I would absolutely. But I can't guarantee 1,000% based on some crazy situation what the situation is, right? Would it be better for example, like if I'm just throwing, this is totally a made up situation here, right? Just to articulate the hands on a cliff point or whatever, right? I'm out here, in Bangkok with my wife. Say we got kids at home, and I'm in a situation where there's a chance I can die to save my wife, or we both die, or I can get away to care for my kids back home. What are you going to do? Right? It's about the kids, about the wife, right? I mean, there's all those situations where I can't give you 100% answer. I could say, yeah, I would at most situations, intellectually speaking here, I would sacrifice my life for my family. But what if it made more sense for me to not sacrifice my life for my family, to take care of my family further down the road, right? Like there's all, you can just come up with all these kind of crazy things. I believe, Kevin, you were in the service, you were trained to do that 100%. I get it, right? I wasn't. And I go, hopefully I would have the wherewithal to go, okay, what's going to benefit my family more? If I do something stupid and catch a bullet and it doesn't help my family, what did that do? It's my own ego and bravado or something like that. You gotta think squarely on some of this stuff, right?
That's a good point. That's a
great
an
point.
angle I didn't think about. That's why I'm glad I have these questions. DJ Smoke.
He threw me off with that. Yeah, like, damn, he got me thinking different. Cause
Yeah.
my answer was different before he said that. Then I'm like, you know what? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I just kill myself and then ain't nothing getting resolved?
Good point.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like
be with the situation.
Yeah, like, nah, it got to be this situation. Now, if we on a boat, let's say we on a boat, and I know none of them motherfuckers can't swim, and I know they can't, and I can barely swim, but I'm about 70% good at swimming. But if I can make them survive, get them back on the boat, say they fell off the boat, I get them back on the boat, will I be the last one there, in the water? Yes. Because I know I got a 70% chance of surviving. Now, if I make it, it is what it is. But I know I got my family on and they good. So that's the piggyback of what Ryan was saying.
I agree with everybody's statement. The first answer is yes, and it definitely would depend on the situation. If Kimberly came home right now and said she was in a situation where she did something that was going to cost her 12 to 20 years of her life, if I can take that 12 to 20 years, I would. So I will be willing to sacrifice everything I got just so her life will be a little better. Right. So, and it definitely depends on the situation. If something I can't actually deal with, and I can't resolve, then you just dare. But if you can resolve the issue and handle it, and it may or may not cost you the rest of your life, I would definitely deal with it. My last question, because I didn't want to offend no one, so I just put higher power. So if you can ask a higher power for forgiveness, what would it be for?
I do all the time. The mistakes that I made in the military, the times that I turned a blind eye, that I let myself be lied to when I knew what was going on, but I didn't say anything when I had the opportunity to. The times that I betrayed trust with the people who relied on me and counted on me. And part of that whole, like, asking a higher power for forgiveness is doing everything that you can to make it right in this world first. So I do that. It's been a really big part of me fighting the PTSD that I have, is doing what I can to make things right, and then giving the rest up to a higher power to say, I am sorry. I cannot make up this gap in what I did and how I want to be from now on. So I constantly have to do that, and it's been a really important part of me healing and getting better, is being able to lean on that concept of someone or something that understands the depth of my sorrow. Because I can go and I can tell my ex-wife that I'm sorry for cheating on her, but there's no guarantee that she's ever going to feel safe or forgive me, and I don't necessarily deserve her forgiveness. I knowingly let myself be led astray. I knew what was happening, and I was just like, fuck it, I don't matter. Let me be valuable to somebody in some way. It was a pathetic place to be in, by the way. And I existed there for a long time, and it caused her a great deal of pain because I was the one person, my ex-wife believed that no matter what happened, that I would be loyal. And I wasn't. And I can't make her forgive me for that. So I do everything that I can to make it right. And I give the rest up to a higher power. I talk to him all the time. I am a flawed work in progress, and I can't do it by myself. So whether I'm wrong or right, it doesn't matter. If there is or is not a higher power, I have a mechanism for coping that allows me to continue to try to be a better person and leave this planet better than when I found it.
Damn. Bro, Ryan. You almost got me, Kevin. You almost got me.
Got to follow up on that one. I don't know what to say on this one. I'm going to go with nothing. And not because I didn't do shit or anything like that. You know, I tried my best. In various situations in my life, I always try to pick right over wrong, but I pick wrong sometimes, 100%. But no, just from my point of view, in my life generally, I don't ask for forgiveness or permission. I do what I think is right, and that's what I do. And there's nobody that can forgive me for nothing, and it's because I take ownership of my behavior. It's not that I haven't acted shitty. in my life is that I own it. It's extreme ownership. I'm never going to ask somebody for forgiveness because I will take that cross to my death because I did it. I earned it. You know what I mean? I earned the bad, shitty stuff I did, and there's no forgiveness for it. I will take it to the grave, and I will own that shit forever. And this maybe go back to some of my, I don't have feelings and I bury shit and whatever. But as I'm working and building at this point in my life, I'm not asking nobody for forgiveness because I will take that to my grave as a cross I got to carry because I made, like Kevin said, I made that choice, right? You know what I mean? I was of sound mind, maybe not, or whatever, but I'm going to own my own behavior. I'm going to own my actions. I'm going to own my feelings. I'm going to own it all. And there's no forgiveness or permission for me.
Big Smoke, you guys a high powerful forgiveness. What would it be for?
Man, I done done some things, man. All my wrongdoings. I will ask for forgiveness for all my wrongdoings. Because I got a lot of them. You know. But other than that, I mean, it is what it is. It's life, man. You know, you're going to make some mistakes. So, some of the mistakes, I'm glad I made. You know, honestly, because I learned from it. But yeah, my wrongdoing.
To be open and honest, I probably would ask for forgiveness for not picking up the cross sooner because I do have a desire to go out in my community and try to solve some of the issues, but I hold back because I feel like I'm not ready because I don't want people to judge me for my past doings, but it's time for me to go out there and do the Lord's work. Especially when I'm seeing teenagers drag people off of buses and some of the issues that are still going on in the black community. It's time for me to find some righteous brothers and pick up the cross and do the Lord's work. So
nothing's wrong with that.
Yeah, I can only ask for forgiveness for not doing it sooner than waiting all this time to do it. Question number 10, because y'all getting in my emotions now. Why is it toxic to be a warrior?
It is oftentimes perceived to be toxic as a warrior because the people who view themselves as warriors aren't and are irresponsible with it. They want to be feared. They want people to owe them deference, and they view deference as respect. So that is a problem that too many of us have brought on ourselves. A warrior is someone who actually fights. And if you're not fighting on behalf of someone else, you are not entitled to their deference or their respect. So when you're out there calling yourself a warrior because you work out really hard, or because you have strong opinions and you're not afraid to be an asshole when you express them, you're not a warrior. You're underdeveloped. So that's why it's toxic to be a warrior, because the people who are shouting how much of a warrior they are the same people who are shouting how much of an alpha they are. The more you have to talk, it's inversely proportionate. You know, if you need all of that support from people recognizing you as this powerful being, you're not powerful. Because a truly masculine individual doesn't have their masculinity, their self-assurance, or their confidence determined by anyone else or anything else other than from within. If you need that fed from the outside, you are actually fragile and still in development. You haven't hardened yet. You haven't matured yet. You're not there yet. You got no right calling yourself a warrior unless you're fighting for someone.
Bro, Ryan, why is it toxic to be a warrior these days?
Yeah, a lot of what Kevin said there. Like, Kevin went to war. He served. That's a warrior, right? I go to the gym and work out hard. Doesn't mean shit. It means I'm a good athlete. You know what I mean, right? I mean, you know, like that's what that means. And the people calling themselves, like, a lion doesn't go, I'm a lion, look at me. A lion is just a goddamn lion, right? You know, a shark goes about its shark day doing shark shit. It doesn't talk about being a shark. So the guys that are saying I'm a warrior and all about that are generally toxic, shitty guys, right? Like, because if they were warriors, if they served, or if they were even warriors in terms of a gangster on the street or other aspects of that, they're not going around talking about it. So it's the guys that go around talking about it, like these warrior posts. Like, it always laughs at me, you know, like, I'm pretty good at this gym game, man. You know what I mean? I'm a champion power lifter, and I don't go around calling myself a warrior. Not even close. And they got, and I see that these gym posts like, let's go to war, and these pre-workouts called Total War and all this shit. Like, Joe, bro, you're bench pressing. You are not in the muck with an AK-47. You're not behind a 7-Eleven with a fucking 9mm in your pocket. Like you are, you know what I mean? Like this is not war, man. Right? And it's those guys. Like, I don't even claim to be a tough guy. I'm not a tough guy. I'm big, sure. I'm strong as shit. But that is, I'm not a warrior. It's just like, it's those guys just making boasts and claims, and then that's why it's toxic.
DJ Smoke.
Got my blood with
why
that
is
one.
it toxic to be a warrior?
Damn, I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know. I don't think it's toxic to be a warrior. I mean, you gotta be a warrior out here.
Smoke, you got that. It's not toxic to be a warrior. It's toxic to go around claiming you are, I think, is maybe what I was trying to get, and you helped me get that point there with that one, right?
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. I mean, I'm most definitely a warrior. I'm out here in the streets, but I don't
Being
think
a warrior
it's
is
toxic
not.
to be a warrior. You gotta protect yourself.
Yeah.
So I don't see it
you.
being toxic. It's just you protecting yourself. It's basically self-defense, right? So nah.
Or what you're
Ain't
responsible
nothing wrong with that. I mean, I look at myself like I'm throwing. I'm out here. I'm trying to call some lightning. You want it? Because
You want the thunder?
Smoke and the lightning. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Your name is DJ Smoke, and your battle cry is, you want the thunder?
You want it?
Come on, my man.
Yeah.
To be honest, from my point of view, being a bigger person, I walk around every day like I'm touching butterflies. And I do that because I know who I am. I'm already in the skin I'm in. And you already have perceptions because of my skin tone. Then I add 200 some pounds of muscle to my skin tone, which is already frightening enough. So I walk around this world like I'm touching butterflies. And that's a true warrior. Because at the end of the day, I have enough power where if I wanted to, I could probably hurt you.
Right.
But I walk around like I'm touching butterflies because I'm truly caring about the people in my society. And I think a warrior is the quiet person that you really need to be concerned about, who ain't saying shit. He the person in the corner that's completely calm while all the fucking chaos going. That's the person that's the fucking warrior.
I think that's kind of me, but I probably not. I'm kind of loud. So yeah.
I'm always calm and quiet, and I just sitting back and I'm.
So y'all know, Kevin and Ryan, Noise is my security. You know what I'm saying? So when I go out, that's my security guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't mess with me when Noise with me. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't no problems when I'm with Noise. It's only when I'm by myself.
Because you bring in the smoke, that's why. Question number 11. And this is one I realize is important. Why is it important to be caring for your community, but when necessary, be willing to become a monster?
Willing to become a boss? Or did you say a monster?
You kind of went low again.
Yeah. I didn't hear the second half.
I said, why is it important to be caring for your community, but when necessary, become a monster?
This is a little bit too close to a Jordan Peterson quote, and I don't really have a lot of respect for him. I don't think he's an intellectual giant. I think he's the last person who should be talking about being a monster or being a warrior. He gets his feelings hurt when people talk about him mean on the internet.
Oh, snap!
My observation. So, hearing his nasally, whiny voice talking about being a monster first so that you can be caring, that's nonsense to me. But there is a point in it. A broke clock is right twice a day. Blind squirrel finds a nut, blah, blah, blah. The reason that a fighter, a warrior, doesn't lose their crap when the shit hits the fan is because they train and they fight. You prepare. You have to be prepared if you're responsible, if you're a fully matured adult contributing to a society that you are a part of. You have to be prepared for when bad things happen. Enjoy the good things, but be prepared when they're falling apart. And that is why you have to have two faces. Medieval knights had two faces. They had their chivalry face, they had their warrior face. Samurai did the same thing. Spartans, they studied philosophy and martial prowess at the same time, because you're not a complete person if you can only kill. You're not a complete person if you can only think. Even Socrates, one of the greatest philosophers, renowned, we should say renowned, not necessarily the greatest, renowned philosophers of all time, said it is a shame for any man to go his entire life without discovering the beauty and strength that his body can possess, right? So that peripherally speaks to the idea that, yeah, we've got to be kind and compassionate, and I am as much as I can be. I try to help everyone, but be it from my size, be it from my tone, be it from the way that I stand, be it from the things that I say, everyone that I interact with, it also knows that should they become a threat to that greater community, that they will no longer be a part of it, and the capacity exists to remove them, however necessary. So it's important, because if you're going to be any sort of custodian, steward, leader, protector, or warrior for the society that you have, whether it be the country, your small town, your clan of people, you have to develop all of the necessary capabilities. And we still do not live in a world that is enlightened enough where violence is not on the table. That is the only reason that Monster needs to exist. Unfortunately, that's the attractive and easy part for a lot of people. And that's the part that they fantasize about. Oh, I'm such a monster. But that's the part that you need to cultivate and have under the most control. Compassion is easy. Unrestrained passion hurts no one. Violence, on the other hand, is very different. That's what needs the most control. So we underdevelop compassion, we overdevelop our capacity and our willingness to create and participate in violence. And I think that's where the disparity lies. And that's why when Jordan Peterson and people like him, or people putting little devil faces on their memes and saying, I am the storm, shut the fuck up, right? You're putting energy in the wrong place. Develop your emotional intelligence, develop your compassion, and then train and then prepare yourself to be whatever you need to be when the shit does hit the fan.
Bro, Ryan, same question, but of course.
I'll drop a little quote too. I like to talk. And I don't
You
know
went blank.
Here's the quote. It's like, it's better to be a warrior in the garden.
We can't hear you, bro.
Oh, you can't hear me? Hello?
We can't hear you.
Crank it
Try
up,
muting
baby.
and
Crank up
unmuting.
the volume.
Hey, can you hear me? My audio's nothing.
Oh, we can barely hear you.
Oh, I don't know how to.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
Oh, you got it? All right.
There you
Okay.
go.
It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, right? You got to cultivate both sides. Like, I'm working on this within myself all the time. Like, I try and better myself. I try and read books. I try and watch documentaries instead of bullshit TV. I try and better my community and help out, and right? And it's still cultivate the side of myself where I'm hitting the gym and working on strength. Like, I value strength above everything else. And I'm learning to myself where I'm lacking is emotional strength and different things. So I'm working on that, right? So, but I value strength the strength is never a weakness. But you have to have, like, read a goddamn book. You know what I mean? So, stuff like that. Like, it's, I get it. So it's, I'm just going to agree with Kevin more or less on this. Like, you have to be both. You have to work on both. And it's funny with the Jordan Peterson. I like some of his quotes, but when he talks about being a monster, like, bro, you were a professor at U of T. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're a warrior. Oh, fuck, shit. Like, you were a professor sipping on espressos in your cardigan for 30 years. Like, that is not, he's the other way, right? He's been all stuck in his books and in an intellectual world. That is not a man who's walked into a gym, squared up with somebody, or any of that ever. You know what I mean? It's the extreme flip side of the crazy gym bro that has an IQ of 40 and is taking Total War pre-workout to think he's a warrior. You know what I mean? It's like you gotta land in the middle, man.
You're really just kicking Total War in the dick. Like,
it's ever since the first time I saw it was that I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, no, right? Like it's the worst. Like, I get it because it's appealing to that exact segment it's marketing. You know what I mean, right? Like, oh.
I feel the same way every time I see somebody use Spartans for, like, marketing. Every time somebody does that, I just, like, what do these guys know? any of them know about organizing your entire life around your society and your contributions to your society, developing mentally and physically? And none of them, they like the aesthetic. None of them are giving up their doing mandatory terms of service. None of them are putting their life on the line. None of them are giving up everything. Or the idea of having a Spartan lifestyle, owning very few things that are, if it doesn't serve a purpose, you don't. None of these guys are doing that. They're running around in thongs and body oil and occasionally carrying a shield, and they're running down the street and maybe doing some mud obstacles. Like, no, stop. You're not warriors. You work out, do an obstacle course, have fun.
DJ Smoke?
No, I mean, I totally agree with him. I mean, I see Kevin feeling him sexy. You know what I'm saying? So he bought the hair.
Dude, I got a headache if it's up there too long. I saved it for the end of the show.
So yeah, it's all good.
I do have several points of view on this, because I think only me and Kevin, for sure, can legally say we had to make a conscious decision when we had to almost kill someone. Legally. Me and Kevin can probably say that. Anybody else, mind your business. So I look at the way that the society works in three different ways, because every day I put on a uniform and I put on a badge, and my ultimate goal is I'm coming home tonight.
Yep.
So I go by two quotes that my trainers taught me. One is, it used to be on the wall. We fight how we train how we fight. Mm-hmm. That used to be on the wall as you come in for training. Mm-hmm. Because you train, and then you revert to that training during the fight. Mm-hmm. And one of my trainers taught me, as we were going through our hard firearms class, I'm not teaching you how to shoot a target. I'm teaching you how to win a gunfight. Mm-hmm. As a person who had to pull out a gun, and you get that adrenaline to your blood and everything's moving in slow motion, and you're thinking to yourself, all it takes is one hand move and this person's going to die. That's the definition of when you can turn into a monster. And the ultimate gangster who's really on the streets, Young Jeezy just now said, it's not worthy of this street shit landing you in jail. That's a person who's a real monster, because he know the real money is in the opening up your own business and doing other shit than being some stupid thug out here. So yes, I'm kind, but when necessary, I know personally that I'm capable of putting you to sleep, because I'm going home.
You got to make it home.
Yeah, that's personal preference. I'm going back home to my wife. Ah, man, damn. This is a hard one, because it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month as well. So why do you think that some men feel like it's necessary to beat their women and their family to control them?
This goes back to something that we've said earlier in the conversation. Too many men are so emotionally stunted that they view deference and fear as respect. And if they're not getting those things, then they're not respected. This is like a 10 or 15-year-old study by this point, but it left an impact on me when I heard it the first time, that 90% of men polled said if they could only choose one, they would rather be respected instead of loved. Now, when you combine that with the idea that too many men are left to and led to believe that deference and fear are the same thing as respect, that's how we get into that situation. These are also a lot of the same men that are threatened by women's strength and independence, because they no longer have a measure of control over that person's life. They are threatened by a woman's career because they don't have financial control. If a woman starts, working out, they're threatened by their physical strength because they're not working out, but they still want to be able to use that strength and power to get what they want, instead of having to rationalize, agree, compromise, talk things out, and respect the other person. I've lived through domestic violence. I've lived through the from my spouse. I have lived through it from my parents who struggled with alcohol, and I have learned a lot about the process. My mom was as abusive as she was because of how abusive my grandfather was. And even by 50s standards, my mom was abused badly. I broke the cycle at my kids. My mom eventually got out of it. We have a wonderful relationship, don't get me wrong. I'm glad to have fixed that in life and not to have the regret that you shared earlier. Because as you were talking about it, I wondered, what if I hadn't reconciled with my mom and how much pain I'd be in? But that's why it happens. My mom wanted fear and respect because that meant I loved her. That's the only way that she could see it, because that's what her father taught her. And I think that's why it happens the most. We don't know what to do the fuck with our emotions. There's no space for them. They build up to the point where we're angry. We're not respected means we're not loved because we weren't feared. And if you have the capacity to instill that fear, that means that you're loved and you're needed and you're depended on. It all comes from a really insecure, ultimately sensitive, and therefore dangerous place. But in my experience with domestic violence, as a victim's advocate in the military, as a fucking victim of it in my childhood, and then marrying a woman who was just like my mother when she was drunk, yeah, that's where it comes from.
Damn it. Brother Ryan, same question.
Okay, hit me with the question again, Norris. Kevin was going deep there, and I was listening. So hit me that with the question again.
The question is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but of course, as some men choose to beat their women and family as a method of control and fear, why do you think that is?
I grew up with some domestic violence as well, but I've been remarkably, thankfully free of it most of my life. A little bit when I was a kid. My mom had a shitty husband, but then he got kicked to the curb pretty quick. So that was, at least it was good that angle. But I think it's because, like, this is going to sound crazy. Like, some people are just shitty people. And, everyone's supposed to see good in people. And no, some people are just pieces of shit, man. And then that's what I view a domestic abuser as, is they're just a piece of shit. And they can't reconcile that within themselves. And they have no urge to get better in their life. They have no urge to do anything. So they're just lashing out because inside, deep down, they know they're a piece of shit, man. It's that simple. Like, the world isn't so rosy. And it's, like, just shitty people. And it's the lack of control that they feel, or they know they're a piece of shit, so they want some respect or some fear, or they want to lash out at people because deep down they know they're the shitty person. I think is where that comes from. And I'm sorry if that's not rosy, that's not woke, that's not correct. No, like if you do that, you are a stupid piece of shit, and I have no respect for you. I got nothing for you. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't cool. You're not getting any credibility. You're not getting anything. Like, it's just, I hope to God you meet the wrong guy in prison for that domestic violence. You know what I mean? Like, there's no goodness. There's no nothing, man. And they're just a piece of shit person and can't reconcile that, I think, is where it comes from.
DJ Smoke, why do these dudes need to beat these women out for fear and control?
I mean, I don't know. Some women are very valid. I'm going to say that. So, I've been through it. So, women would do some things, and then you react, and then it is what it is. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I can speak freely because all my shit is in the past. And like Kevin said, because I had a crazy mother who used violence and fear as her method of control, it attracted me to women who use violence as their method of control. And I used to have a girlfriend for a long period of time, and our sexual habits were she used to punch me in my face, I used to throw her in the bed, and that would be how we would get our sex started. I was attracted to the crazy girl because of the way I grew up. And I only knew violence, that this is what a woman's supposed to do, until I met my wife. And I'm glad I have the person I have now, that I can see the sensitive side of a woman and the beauty of a woman, because that craziness could have led me to jail, because there's only but so many times you can take something like that before you just naturally react. And that's not the way to go. So sometimes we all need to admit that the woman can be the one who's aggressing the violence. The woman can also abuse the man, which we do not like to talk about because we all like, but truthfully,
no, that was my first marriage.
These women out here whooping ass.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's, I mean, they're also the ones that initiates this. And the most important thing to do is to realize I'm also broken and get the fuck away. It looked like somebody had something to say before I asked my next question.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Just agreeing with you. Oh, anyone can be an abuser.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And women, anything. I'm sure the trans people, gay people, like it transcends everything.
Yep.
Right. There's no. It's a stereotype that it's always a guy beating his wife, but there's many wives beating their husbands or abusing. I still think it goes back to just being shitty people because, like, where do you get? I don't know, a guy that beats his wife or kids, man. Like, you're beating someone smaller and weaker than you. Like that's just like there's no street cred or nothing. I don't care, man. Like it's a society. We got to work on it. But one of the things that came up though, to work on it, we have to realize that it's throughout society at every level, every race, creed, color, gender, all of that. And you know, I mean that's I don't know how to move past it, but you know, like it's I was just agreeing with you, Norris.
All right, the final question, then we got some special announcements. But final question, and this is the most important question I can ask in this lifetime. Can the ass be too big for doggy style? Kevin.
That depends on the equipment. So I go with the Kama Sutra. The Kama Sutra says that there are rabbits, horses, and elephants. And what it's talking about is like compatible lovers. If you got a short stroke engine, an ass can definitely be too big, right? But conversely, that ass can be too small and not provide enough for you to satisfactorily enjoy yourself. Because I can't speak for anyone else, but if I'm only playing with like a third, like if you're only playing with a third of my equipment, that's not fun for me, right? Like, so technically, yes. Have I found one? No. So I think conceptually, yes. Practically, not yet.
Brian, can the ass be too big for doggy style?
I'm gonna have to say I'm sure it can. Have I encountered one yet? But exactly. I've seen some. I have seen some out there. I've seen some asses so big that you'd have to be hung like a goddamn donkey to get up in there. So, but that doesn't mean there's not other ways, right? You know, anything two consenting adults do, you're gonna figure it out, man. Yeah. And if I got an ass that's 4 feet wide, I'm gonna figure it out. Is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna have fun doing it.
Adapt and overcome.
Adapt and overcome, Marine. That's right. That's the right. There it is, Kevin. There is no ass too big because you adapt and you overcome, Marine.
Hoorah!
Right.
Hoorah!
Can the ass be too big for doggy style?
Nah, not for me.
I personally never encountered this situation. I found that on TikTok. I responded to it, and I told the young lady I was captain of the fuck boys. Mm-hmm. And no, your ass is not too big for doggy style, man. I don't know who you fucking, but I know your DM is about to be lit up with a bunch of dudes who are former captains of the fuck boys to show you that you can get fucking lit up like a Christmas tree.
So I think you might as well have asked us, like, it's the same thing as, is interstellar travel is space travel to Mars possible? Yeah, conceptually, we just ain't done it yet.
I know people have special announcements. So, Kevin, what are your special announcements? And please give up all your info so people can find you.
I don't really have any special announcements. I'm working on a bunch of stuff, but like,
you forgot about our last DM. That's why I did this.
Oh, shiza.
When you asked who was going to be here and what you wanted to tell them to his fucking face.
I don't remember. Dude, I got short-term memory loss. You can't do this to me. I'm on the spot.
Well, here we go.
Oh, yeah. No, I was going to tell you this anyway. Ryan, you goaded me into getting on an actual established federations platform. So 2023, I'll be competing in US, PA, and, USAPL as soon as I can find one that's in New England. I want to do tested, and USPA. because they're coming right up to Bangor or to Wilton, Maine.
Yeah, USPA is the Fed that I can both compete in and officiate in, and help throw meets up here in Canada. It's the CPL up here. That's awesome, Kevin. Good for you. I think, totally a side thing about a part of my lifestyle, I think everybody, every man or every woman should compete in something, whether it's chess, tiddlywinks, reading, anything. Competition breeds excellence. So if you're a gym guy, compete in the gym. If you're a chess guy, compete on a chessboard. If you're, you know what I mean, anything. I don't want to say sports because it's a big world. You know what I mean, right? I compete in sports, and I think everyone should do it because it focuses your training, focuses your mind, gives you goals, gives you incremental gains. Like, competition breeds excellence in anything. So anything you want to compete in it. And that's awesome. I mean, good for you.
My little sister, she's joining me, so she just started her
Nice.
equipment. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Nice.
We're looking forward to this, and I guess the best way to close this is, there's only one good way to close this is, the best way to close this is with a quote. And the best quote I can give you is, without order, there's only chaos. Hail Hydra. We'll see you next time.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Team Cap, fuck you.
What's your problem, Kevin? What's your problem?
Motherfucker.
What's your problem? Okay,
That was the worst story arc in the history of comics. I hated it.
I'll be nice. I'll give you a better quote. Why be a hero in the shadows when you can be a villain in the light?
I'll give you a better one. Excelsior, okay?
Radio, and I'm gonna try to bring in my 2A specialist, and we're gonna be talking about 2A. But as always, man, I want to say before we really close this out, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and appreciate your time. And the most valuable thing we have on this earth is your time. So I always appreciate it. And thank you for being open, honest, and vulnerable about your truth, because that's the most difficult thing to do. And I think if we did that in society, we'd be better off.
You're better off, yep.
So maybe we need to have more conversations and less gunfights. All right, salute.
Y'all be cool.
Catch you guys later. Take care.
Big holla.